Tonight, breaking news.
Iran retaliates, firing missiles at U.S. forces in Iraq. From the Middle East, Washington and Ottawa, the response, the stakes, and what could happen next.
Also tonight, we're on the front lines of the battle against Australian wildfires.
Overcapacity at Ottawa morgues. Healthcare workers say hospitals had to resort to storing dead bodies in conference rooms.
And a royal thank you. Harry and Meghan's message to Canada. This is The National. We begin tonight with breaking news. There are reports tonight that a Ukrainian airliner with at least 170 people on board crashed near Tehran right after takeoff. Now, those reports suggest it was a Boeing 737, and early indications from Iran state TV say it was likely brought down by mechanical issues, but they didn't explain that point any further.
And this is happening with all eyes on Iran tonight. Tehran has retaliated for the U.S. killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. We know missiles rained down on at least 2 locations, bases in Iraq that host U.S. and coalition troops. So these images aired on Iranian state TV, they appear to show missiles being fired into the night sky. One target, Ain al-Assad base, that's in a sprawling rural area west of Baghdad. Another, Erbil in northern Iraq, also home to a base used by coalition forces, including Canadians. The full extent of the damage is still unclear, but the latest report suggests there are few, if any, casualties. What is clear? Iran is openly claiming responsibility. That puts Washington and Tehran in a dangerous standoff. We have full coverage tonight with Susan Ormiston in Washington tracking the U.S. response, Vashi Kapelos in Ottawa on Canada's reaction and what we're hearing about those Canadian troops. But let's begin in the region. Margaret Evans is in Beirut, where this explosion of violence was dreaded and widely expected. So, Margaret, what do we know about tonight's attacks?
Adrian, Tehran has been threatening to retaliate against the United States for Qasem Soleimani's assassination, and to do so directly without relying on militia proxies like Hezbollah, for example, here in Lebanon. And tonight it seems that that is indeed what we're seeing. The grainy proof, or so it would seem, of what Iranian state television is dubbing Operation Martyr Soleimani. A series of surface-to-surface missiles hit an Iraqi base in Anbar province called Ain al-Assad, housing U.S. and other coalition troops. Another wave of missiles is said to have targeted the Kurdish capital of Erbil in northern Iraq, which also hosts a coalition base. Most of the Middle East has been bracing itself for just such an escalation in the wake of Qasem Soleimani's assassination last week. Tonight's missile barrage began just hours after the former Iranian general and spy master was buried in his hometown. Dozens of mourners were trampled to death when a stampede broke out in the huge crowds following the funeral procession. Also today, Iranian legislators passed a law labeling the U.S. Army and the Pentagon terrorist entities. And the country's foreign minister, Javad Zarif, repeated pledges to avenge Soleimani's death.
That's an act of war done in a cowardly terrorist operation, and Iran will take appropriate response to that.
Here in Beirut, in Hezbollah neighborhoods, giant billboards bearing Soleimani's image line the streets, a reminder of how far his reach extended and of the sectarian nature of the Middle East. The main question tonight, of course, is whether or not these strikes represent a definitive act of retaliation from Iran or just the start of it. Adrian.
All right, thanks, Margaret. Margaret Evans in Beirut tonight. So another key question is how Washington will respond. Susan Ormiston is there. And Susan, there has to be a flurry of activity still at this hour at the White House.
You bet. The lights are on at the White House. Security has been tightened around the building. The national advisors to the president have been huddling with him for hours. The Secretary of State and Defense and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We've heard only one thing from President Trump tonight. Not surprisingly, a tweet. The president said, with a surprising tone perhaps, all is well, double exclamation, so far so good, and added that he will be making a statement to the country tomorrow. The Pentagon is assessing battle damage, and the main question, of course, Adrian, is what will the U.S. do next? The president has repeatedly said if attacked, it will respond forcefully. He said it again today. Here's how the day played out.
The United States is not seeking a war with Iran, but we are prepared to finish one.
The U.S. Defense Secretary earlier today clearly preparing Americans for what was to come.
We should expect that they will retaliate in some way, shape, or form. We're prepared for any contingency.
Team Trump was on deep defense today with top leaders, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Defense Secretary Mark Esper, and the president, all doubling down on the justification for killing Soleimani.
He's been called a monster. And he was a monster. And he's no longer a monster. He's dead.
But in death, Qasem Soleimani has remained a threat, a martyr in the eyes of his followers. In fact, tonight's operation was named Martyr Soleimani. U.S. allies, Canada included, are moving some troops out of Iraq. In a letter, Chief of Defense Staff General Vance said to ensure their safety and security. U.S. forces were already on high alert, but the government again denied today its troops would withdraw from Iraq. This retired military colonel says they should.
We are literally sitting in the desert defending ourselves like a turtle. That's the only thing we're doing. And by all rights, we should leave instead of just being targets.
Just over a year ago, President Trump made a surprise visit to the same Iraqi air base hit tonight during the December break. He has not publicly responded to tonight's attack, but earlier today repeated his warning to Iran.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences, and very strongly.
Now, Adrian, one of the red lines for this president is dead or injured Americans. And there's no indication yet tonight that there have been American casualties, although Iraqis may have suffered some casualties on those bases. From Iran tonight, the foreign minister has tweeted that Iran does not seek escalation or a war, but will defend itself if it is attacked. An advisor to the Iranian president was harsher. He said that any adverse military attack by the U.S. will be met with an all-out war across the region. So we're all waiting tonight and into the wee hours of this morning to see what the U.S. will do next.
All right, Susan, thanks very much. Susan Ormiston in Washington. So now let's look at what this means for Canada. Power and Politics host Vashi Kapellos is with us. Vashi, we've heard from Canada's Chief of Defence Staff, Jonathan Vance. What is the official word on Canadian troops in the region?
The official word, thank goodness, Adrian, is that they are all accounted for and they are all safe. We found that out not long ago vis-a-vis a tweet from General Jonathan Vance. I just want to back up for a second before pulling up that tweet, though, and show you that General Vance, along with Minister Harjit Sajjan, was meeting at the Department of National Defense at the building I believe that you're looking at right now. Throughout the evening, the meeting wrapped not long ago, and it wrapped because General Vance came out with this tweet announcing the status of those about 500, up to 500 Canadian troops in Iraq. He said, CAF, Canadian Armed Forces families, I can assure you that all deployed CAF personnel are safe and accounted for following missile attacks in Iraq. We remain vigilant. Some of those troops had been moved out earlier today from Iraq to Kuwait, though we're not sure how many remained on the base in Erbil or around the base. That is, of course, one of the bases that was attacked by Iran earlier this evening.
So, Vashi, are we hearing anything else, perhaps from the Prime Minister tonight?
Nothing since the announcement that Canadian troops are safe, but we did hear from the Prime Minister a little earlier. A spokesperson for him told us that the Prime Minister has been informed of the situation and that we are monitoring it closely. There will be, I think it's fair to say, some tough questions for the Prime Minister tomorrow. I think a lot of Canadians, or at least the opposition parties, are demanding that he speak directly to Canadians about this. I think there will also be a lot of questions, not just for him, but for the military, about what they plan to do with the rest of the troops stationed, the Canadian troops stationed in Iraq. Will they be moving out to Kuwait, or will they be leaving the country? Is it just too unsafe for them right now, given the current tense situation?
All right, much more ahead on this breaking story tonight, including our panel of experts standing by to help make some sense of what this means and, crucially, what comes next. But first, here's Ian now with more on that other big breaking story that is the plane crash outside of Tehran. Ian.
And Adrian, it is 10:10 Mountain Time, 9:40 Wednesday morning in Iran, and here's what we know this hour. According to Iranian state television, a Ukrainian plane carrying at least 170 people crashed shortly after takeoff. Now, just moments ago, Associated Press reported that emergency officials have told state television that everyone on board that jet has been killed. Let's take a quick look at the website Flight Radar 24. It shows the path of a Ukrainian airline, 737-800, and you can see that flight path abruptly ending not far from the airport. And the BBC has tweeted out video that they say has come from Iranian television. Reportedly, as the jet went down, you see that flash there and what appears to be a huge explosion as it hit the ground. We also have some still pictures, and those pictures do suggest a sudden and catastrophic impact. And when you put that together with the video we saw, and you know, it's likely that a jet like that just taking off would be full of fuel, it likely would explode and upon crash, which is what appears to have happened here. What was the cause of this? We don't know. Iranian television saying that they believed it was mechanical, but that's all they said. No explanation as to why they've reached that conclusion. But in the last few minutes, you know, the most tragic news about this, what we were hoping we wouldn't hear, but Associated Press reporting that state television in Iran saying that everyone on board that Ukrainian jet that had just taken off from Tehran has died. We will continue to follow this story. We will have updates for you on the National, also on CBC News Network. But right now, back to Andrew in Toronto.
Okay, for the moment, let's turn to other news. Beginning in Australia, where cooler weather has given firefighters some relief, but not nearly enough to tame wildfires ripping through much of the country. Take a look. This was the scene in New South Wales today. That's the state hit hardest in the country's southeast, with more than 5 million hectares burned. But also consider this. Police have taken legal action against 124 people for deliberately setting fires, tossing lit cigarettes, and ignoring fire bans. David Common is in New South Wales, on the front lines of the firefight in Illaroo. That's about 2.5 hours south of Sydney.
It may not look like it, but this forest is still on fire, days after a towering inferno moved up this hill. The flames trapped inside these logs, the embers burning inside standing trees, and the extreme heat still rising from the ground. It could flare up and cause the next big one.
This is all about trying to shut down the possibility of another inferno passing through this region. It's already done that, and so many of these areas are very hot. By hosing them down now, when the weather heats up once again, the heat wave returns, they're not going to cause an ignition. That's the hope anyway.
I think this is all private roads.
For most firefighters, this is the most catastrophic fire of their careers. Some fighting blazes that have been burning since September. And it's about to get worse. Another heat wave is coming Friday. This is dangerous work, and it's been deadly. So it's surprising to learn who these firefighters are.
All of them volunteer?
Every single one volunteers.
It's amazing.
It is. About 72,000 volunteers in New South Wales for our service. The largest voluntary fire service in the world.
On this crew, 3 teachers and an Uber driver.
You're a volunteer?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
What do you do the rest of the time?
I'm an arborist.
You're an arborist?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're used to dealing with trees.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm usually up there climbing around in them, actually.
The fireys, as they're called in Australia, have something of a hero status. So too, it would seem, do the latest arrivals of Canadian fire specialists. Applauded arriving off a round-the-world flight, joining teams of experts across the fire zone. Some doing behind-the-scenes work, others on the front lines.
They're looking at the weather and the fuels and the topography and putting it all together and telling us where the fire is going to go tomorrow.
There is no time to ease into the job for the Canadians or anyone else. This is a crisis, and one that seems certain to last for months to come. David Coleman, CBC News, Uluru, Australia.
Dozens of firefighters took a break from the front lines today to honor a fallen colleague. Andrew O'Dwyer was one of 2 volunteer firefighters killed last month when a burnt tree fell and caused their truck to roll. The 36-year-old leaves behind his daughter, Charlotte. She was presented with her father's service medal, then put on his helmet and stayed near his coffin. O'Dwyer was described as a free spirit who loved his family and his fire brigade.
Hundreds of thousands of people are without power in disaster-weary Puerto Rico tonight after another powerful earthquake struck just this morning, killing at least 1 person. The 6.4 magnitude quake struck before dawn just off the southern coast. That's not far from where a 5.8 magnitude shock hit on Monday. Stephen D'Souza looks at how people on this battered island are holding up.
Buildings collapsed, hospitals evacuated, homes in ruins. Puerto Ricans fled outside after the latest in a series of earthquakes shook them out of bed early this morning. Horrible, everything fell on top of us. Getting to the street was an odyssey because everything had fallen on the road, this woman says. This broadcast was on the air. The quakes are the latest setback for an island still recovering from the deadly 2017 hurricane, with billions of dollars of repairs still needed. In Guayanillas, residents salvaged what they could from this historic church, which had stood since 1841. Monday's quake also destroyed this natural rock formation and popular tourist attraction. With cars crushed and power outages across the island, Puerto Rican Governor Wanda Vazquez declared a state of emergency and activated the National Guard. Puerto Rico sits near a major undersea fault line that has caused multiple tremors since December 28th. The constant rumbling has kept residents on edge. I was sleeping when the house began falling down bit by bit. I grabbed my bag, which I had prepared, and ran outside and jumped off the balcony, this man says. In the southeast, seismologists say there's been more than 800 seismic events in the past 2 weeks, unheard of since they started keeping records in the mid-'80s.
I would hope that this was the last large event, but it's not guaranteed.
She says it's difficult to predict if the quakes will continue.
So there is activity constantly in Puerto Rico. It just happens that this activity is close to land and is shallow, and therefore is impacting the public more.
As the aftershocks continue, some are forced to remain outside, unsure when it will be safe to go back in. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Now to Ottawa, where hospital overcrowding has taken a truly grim twist. The morgues are full at 2 hospital facilities, and some workers have complained they're now finding bodies in some surprising places. Hilary Johnstone looked into it.
Cadavers are normally kept in morgues like this one in Montreal, but a hospital workers union in Ottawa says overcrowding there has led to unorthodox solutions and creepy situations.
A lot of the housekeepers go up to the floors and they go into the conference rooms, and they're caught off guard when they walk in and there's a body that's been covered up.
In early December, workers at 2 hospital facilities started complaining to the union, telling Lou Burry the morgues were full.
Beginning of December, it was pretty cold in Ottawa, so they would leave the doors open to keep the room refrigerated. Makeshift refrigeration, if you like.
Burry was also told of bodies kept in patient rooms and parts of the ER.
I couldn't understand why this was happening. I don't understand why it is happening.
The Ottawa Hospital has not directly addressed that why. It did say when capacity at these morgues is reached, it may be necessary for the deceased to be taken care of in temporary spaces that respect the requirements for dignity and procedure. The hospital said conference rooms and ward beds are not used to store cadavers. When CBC News asked for clarification, have conference rooms ever been used, the hospital declined to comment further. This funeral home manager says he's not surprised that Ottawa's morgues are full.
The hospital themselves were never built to hold a lot of bodies.
He says it's a problem across the country. Last September, Alberta launched an investigation after photos emerged of bodies being stored in refrigerated trailers rented by the coroner's office.
We worry a little bit about what's being done and how the bodies are being cared for.
Backlogs get even worse when there's no next of kin to claim a body.
Because somebody has to take possession of a body. You can't move a body unless you have authority.
Ontario's health ministry says hospitals are responsible for day-to-day management of their facilities, and it's confident the Ottawa Hospital will address overcrowding at the morgues. Hilary Johnstone, CBC News, Ottawa.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but we have much more on the news breaking late this evening.
Iran has retaliated for the U.S.-sponsored killing of Qasem Soleimani, striking 2 military bases that host U.S. and coalition forces inside Iraq with ballistic missiles. So here's the video we have so far. We are tracking the latest, working our sources in this country and around the world. We will try to help you make sense of what this means and what comes next with our panel of regional experts just ahead. We're back in 2.
The right interviews, the right conversation, focus are all key, so you know the full story. This is CBC News Network.
Quaker oats are low in saturated and trans fat and are part of a heart-healthy diet. They have soluble fiber called beta-glucan that helps lower cholesterol, which is a risk factor for heart disease. And these oats have no artificial flavors or colors.
Affirmative, Space Cowboy. Fair and I are just off to the plaza now to renew our home and auto insurance. Be back in 2 hours. Hey, baby, you want to pump those tunes?
Ooh.
Righteous.
The world has changed, and finally, insurance has too. With Sonnet Insurance, you can now buy home and auto insurance entirely online in only 5 minutes.
Where'd you spot insurance?
In 5 minutes.
Sonnet Insurance. Get insured online today.
Jose, your wife had shingles, right?
Oh, man. Shingles laid her up for weeks. She had burning blisters and the pain.
That was mostly to women, right?
Actually, anyone who had chickenpox already has the shingles virus inside them.
Great. So there's not much we can do about it.
Actually, shingles can be prevented.
Shingles can be what?
Prevented. You can get vaccinated.
Close up shop, Bill. We're going to the clinic. You don't want to mess with shingles, man.
Talk to a doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated.
Sometimes, my body just can't catch a break. Tylenol Muscle and Body is specially formulated to relieve tough muscle and body pain fast for up to 8 hours. So, I'm ready for what's next.
The way you get free is you work your way into the system, and then you be better at it than everyone else. I am not going to let them do this to you.
Diggstown on CBC and CBC Gem.
Something happening in here.
Breaking tonight, Iran is retaliating for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. The country's forces have fired more than a dozen missiles targeting at least 2 military bases in Iraq that host U.S. and coalition military personnel. Donald Trump tweeted that the U.S. was assessing damage and casualties, but said, quote, "So far so good." And Canadian Chief of Defense Staff Jonathan Vance says all deployed Canadian Armed Forces personnel are safe and accounted for. We will continue to bring you the latest details of this story as we have them. Harry and Meghan pulled off something of a Christmas coup with their almost secret Canadian vacation. Well, today, a tip of the hat to their co-conspirators. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have returned to royal duty since returning home from BC. And as Renee Filipponi reports, they are more than grateful for that quality downtime.
A last-minute visit to say thanks, Canada, after spending the holidays holed up on BC's west coast in a quest for privacy. It seems Canada delivered.
The warmth and hospitality that we were showing all that was unbelievable, and that's exactly why we chose Canada.
Today, they were served up a quintessential Canadian treat, Nanaimo bars, and took in a new exhibit by Mohawk artist Skawanati, the first here by an Indigenous woman. This is the second time in under a year the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have visited Canada House in London.
I think there's a special place in their hearts for Canada. Canada is very proud of our connection with the royal family.
This Instagram post of Harry and Archie is the only photographic evidence the family were in BC. Reports are they stayed in a mansion on Vancouver Island.
We really don't know much about what they've done for this sabbatical, and that was exactly how they intended it to be. An opportunity to escape the spotlight, to sort of get away after quite a challenging year for the Sussexes.
Not many people have asked if I'm okay, but it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
On a recent trip to Africa, the couple discussed the struggles that being in the spotlight puts on their family, only to be met with criticism, especially in the UK media.
Perhaps they just realised they also needed some time to take a step back, to reflect, to reassess, and I think they come into 2020. Certainly to me today, they looked full of enthusiasm, they looked revitalised, they looked happy.
It's not protocol for royals to make a visit like this and thank a country that wasn't officially hosting them. Royal watchers now wonder if there's an official visit to Canada coming this year. The High Commissioner would only say royals are always welcome. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, London.
And we do have more on the breaking news from the Middle East up next on The National. Iran's ballistic missile attack tonight on U.S.-led forces in Iraq, a retaliation to the U.S. killing of an Iranian commander.
So are they on the brink of war? What happens next? We've gathered a panel of top regional experts, and we're back in 2 minutes.
As of today, you belong to me. We want the good people of Canada to be afraid of activists and draft dodgers. Earn their trust. How do you think America protects itself?
So I've been using this awesome new app called Rakuten that gives me cash back on everything.
That's Evate's new name.
Rakuten. It gets me cash back at tons of stores and I just shop like normal.
That's Evate's. I've told you 15 times. We saved like $500 last year.
Rakuten is changing my life. I get cash back on electronics, travel, clothes.
You're talking about Evate's.
Can't stop talking about Rakuten. This is like a pretty good deal to me. I feel like we should probably just store it.
Smoothie's ready.
Awesome. Ebates is now Rakuten. Sign up today and get cash back on everything you buy.
Before you take anything for pain, I recommend topicals first, like these patches and spray from Salonpas. Effective, targeted relief that's gentle on the body. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
Elevate every moment. The 2020 Mazda CX-5, starting from $27,950.
The Blue Barnacles are on a winning streak, and so is this hockey dad with the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers deal. Woo! 2 cheeseburgers for $5, or 2 doubles with cheese for $7. He's done it again!
DQ, happy tastes good. Wherever your body pain hits, try Aleve. Aleve provides relief at the site of pain. It's fast-acting and lasts for up to 12 hours, so your day is yours to play. Aleve, fast-acting pain relief that lasts.
$120 for the night, please.
$95 for the night, please.
Wait, what?
If you use Trivago, Trivago will compare hotel prices from hundreds of websites worldwide, so you can often find a better deal for your hotel room. Maybe you should try Trivago next time.
Hotel Trivago.
Nicorette proudly salutes the quitters. Over 1,200 Canadians give up smoking every day. Nicorette gum is clinically proven to provide fast relief of cravings to help you quit, so you can join them. Nicorette, let's do something amazing.
Who the hell are you?
There had never been a homicide committed in that area.
Mom?
What instigated him to come out of the room?
I got high. I got crazy. A couple of people got what they deserved.
The Detectives, Thursday at 9 on CBC and CBC Gem.
Welcome back. We have a live update on that plane crash in Tehran. Iranian state television now reporting that everyone on board a Ukrainian airline plane was killed when the jet crashed shortly after takeoff. Video reportedly showing the last few moments of the flight. You can see that flash there, but then a much larger flash, likely an explosion when it hit the ground. and still pictures suggesting a sudden and catastrophic impact. It appears this was a Ukrainian Airlines 737-800. Now, that's not the 737 MAX, which has been grounded. The 737-800 is widely used around the world. Now, we don't know what even the likely cause or causes were. Iranian state television has reported that it believes this was a mechanical problem, but it gave no indication what that was based on. So at this hour, just learning that everyone aboard this jet has been killed. Not clear what the cause of the crash is. We know that it happened shortly after takeoff from Tehran Airport. And we will have an update for you next hour on CBC News Network.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Back to our top story tonight. Iranian missile strikes on U.S. and coalition targets in Iraq. That is retaliation for the U.S. killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. More than a dozen Iranian missiles launched from Iran targeted at least 2 locations in Iraq, including the Al-Assad air base housing U.S. troops and Iraqi troops, and Erbil, where some Canadian personnel are also stationed. Tonight, U.S. officials saying there are very few, if any, casualties, but no matter what, this is an extremely dangerous escalation of tensions between these 2 longtime enemies with potentially global consequences, which is why we need to talk. So joining me now are experts: Janice Stein from the Munk School of Global Affairs, Besma Momani from the University of Waterloo's Center for International Governance and Innovation, and in Detroit tonight, Saeed Khan of Wayne State University. So Besma, if we can start with you, I'm not sure people are surprised that there's been a retaliation. We've been talking about it for days, but in your estimation, what determines whether this ends or escalates right now?
So I think what we're going to see moving forward is actually de-escalation, which is fantastic news for everybody. The fact of the matter is it seems as though there was no U.S. service personnel killed on these bases, which is really important. I think that allows Trump to save face. The fact that there is no address tonight, it seemed as though also reports of Esper and Pompeo, that's the Secretary of Defense and State, who visited Trump in the White House, have now gone basically back to where they came from. And so I think things are now going to cool down, but it was a very busy night, and I think many of us were on the edge of our seats wondering if this was going to be a war.
Okay, so I think the world wants your take to be the right one. Janice, anything tonight surprise you at all?
No, I actually think the Iranians launched a very disciplined, limited, it's hard to believe that when you see the missiles flying, Adrian, but limited strike, 12 to 30 missiles on 2 bases, along with the most extraordinary message that came out tonight on Iranian Telegraph, which said, we're going to launch this wave and possibly one other, and that will be it if you do nothing, if you don't respond. If you do respond, Haifa and Tel Aviv will burn. I cannot remember somebody launching a strike and saying to the adversary, this will be it if you don't respond. That is a very strong message. The Iranians do not want to take this to all-out war.
The messaging was also interesting, I found, because throughout the night, Iranian state news agencies were systematically sending out messages clearly for domestic consumption.
Absolutely.
Laying claim to this. They really want this to be a win at home, clearly.
That's right. I mean, there was tremendous pressure on the Supreme Leader, and he went to the National Security Council meeting, and he said, look, there have to be 2 things. It has to be open. It has to be obviously from Iran, and that condition was met, and it has to be against U.S. assets. Take those 2 parameters, Adrian. What was done tonight was about at the lowest level that one could imagine.
Saeed, can you help us understand here, what do you think gave Iran the confidence to take this chance tonight?
Well, I think there's 2 things to consider here, Adrian. One is the confidence which they demonstrated with the accuracy of their missiles. These were certainly on point. The other thing that I think is important to also recognize is where was the U.S. defense system that allowed for the missiles to penetrate at least the outer perimeter and be able to strike successfully. But I think another word that we need to also consider here is perhaps compulsion. Given the very massive outpouring of public grief and anger at the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. And the fact that the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was presiding over the services, over the funeral, weeping over the coffin, meant that the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Council, had to do something. Perhaps some of us were wondering whether this is a bit earlier than we thought that they would act, but they did. And as Basma and Janice so aptly pointed out, it was very, very proportionate. It was very, very disciplined. And the Iranians essentially showed what was in their sheath. In many ways, that would be seen as a rather gentlemanly way of striking back.
So, Basma, you know, I think as a Canadian, when you hear that Erbil was among the locations that was hit, you immediately think, aha, okay, we know there are Canadians at a base near there. Can you help people understand what exactly the Canadians are doing there and what changes about that mission, you know, tonight?
Yeah, so Operation Impact has 850 troops across the region. By my count, there's about 500 in Iraq. We don't know exactly where, but we do know that Erbil was one site that indeed they were visiting. And of course, I think this is a very tense time. We've seen in the past 2 days discussion and debate about where the Canadian troops are going to go. My understanding is some of them are making their way out to Kuwait at the moment. Certainly there are many allies as well. The Germans are trying to vacate to Jordan. Others are following suit. So it is not a safe time, I think, for our troops to be in the region. We knew that they were going to be in harm's way. But what this means for the operation, which was really there to help train and build the capacity of the Iraqi Federal Army, is in doubt. And that's a real shame because, in fact, the Canadians were doing a lot of good there. The Iraqi army is highly factionalized. We saw it pretty much wither into these kinds of sectarian factions back when ISIS was in town. This is not good for the Iraqi Federal Army in the long run. If Iraq is going to stand on its own 2 feet and be able to, frankly, be able to dissuade the Iranians from having their way in their country, particularly their military force and these powerful militias that have such a strong role in the military, the Canadian and the NATO forces that are there to train the Iraqi military is sorely needed, and their job is not done.
But understanding that the job is not done, but this puts some pressure on the Canadian government. Janice, what are you expecting to hear from them?
I mean, there's no question. The Chief of the Defence Staff, Jonathan Vance, talked about thinning out Canadian forces, and so I'm cautiously optimistic here, Adrian, that they're out of harm's way. But there's a larger question here. The Iranian Parliament has asked that U.S. troops withdraw from Iraq. The Iraqi Prime Minister has supported that. Now, we're still not there, but the whole notion of having a coalition training mission in Iraq, I think, is much more politically fraught now after all this. And I think the biggest risk in all of this is not war between Iran and the United States, but it's actually civil war in Iraq if these tensions continue to build. You know, there were Iraqi casualties tonight. That's the one thing.
They get forgotten so often.
They get forgotten, and that's the one thing we know.
So, Saeed, very quickly, we don't have much time left in this block, but I spoke with a State Department spokesperson yesterday who said that the fight against ISIS will continue. She was very confident of that. Are you confident this is the case?
Well, there's an irony, isn't there, that it was the Iraqi militia who were trained and coordinated by Qasem Soleimani, who were doing most of the heavy lifting on the ground in Iraq in trying to repel ISIS. So the fact that on the one hand the United States is making statements that they are going to continue unabated in the fight against ISIS, that seems a little bit strange, particularly when we saw a rather embarrassing letter from the Pentagon, erroneously sent perhaps, that the United States is already planning its withdrawal of forces from Iraq. So we're getting mixed signals that are coming out of the White House, the Pentagon, and the State Department as to exactly what is America's future policy and its strategy when it comes to Iraq. The idea of ISIS being in place still in Iraq must be vexing for the United States. If they're planning on staying and if they're planning on having a redeployment of more troops, then the distraction of Iran and the Iraqi militia, who I'm sure they're worried about having retaliatory strikes against them, is going to be a problem if they are then looking to combat ISIS as well.
All right, everybody, we have to take a short break. Basma, I want to hear what you have to say about ISIS coming after this. So please, you three, stick around. We have a lot more to discuss when we come back. What to watch for next in this developing story.
I'm Jenny Cooper, the coroner. I'm gonna be ruling his death a homicide.
Let's follow the money. What are you gonna do?
We're gonna follow the rat. What happened to you?
Heavenly hand cream. Heavenly hand cream? My hands get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's Working Hands. Guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked hands. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my hands back.
Check your free credit score at creditkarma.ca. Here's to progress.
At this moment in time, they say time is of the essence, that we're running out of time. Sorry, don't have the time. Time's up. Times have changed. Time is fleeting. So take the time. Time for firsts. Time for adventure. Time for wonder. Time for what matters. Because you can't buy more time.
Fire! The neighbor's farm is on fire. It's almost to the road. It's heading for us.
Help me get the animals out of the barn.
The fire's getting closer.
I'm on the horse.
The house is burning.
We gotta get out to the river. Get up.
Can't leave everything. Careful. Don't fall.
Come on. We have to hurry.
Hurry. There's the river. We're going to make it. I can't swim.
Yes, you can.
Hurry. Hurry.
You must get in.
I can't.
Watch out for sparks.
His hair's on fire.
Keep their hair wet.
In May 1870, fires raged along the Saguenay River for more than 150 kilometers, destroying land and lives. One family survived by dousing themselves all night against the searing heat. One family, among the thousands whose resourcefulness and courage shaped the character of this land.
The vibe was he was the best.
He's such a good storyteller and such a beautiful lyricist.
This is a guy that sang poems.
He is our iconic singer-songwriter.
You gotta pay attention to your fans.
Gordon was, he was Canadiana.
They went to all the trouble of showing up. I'm gonna be as kind to my fans as I possibly can.
He's the biggest Canada's ever had.
Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind, now streaming on CBC Gem.
Easily one of the best preserved dinosaur fossils ever found.
It really does look like it was frozen in mid-motion.
Tracking a mystery.
Fire.
Over 100 million years old.
Cool. Yeah.
Dinosaur Cold Case, Friday at 9 on The Nature of Things.
More on our top story tonight. Iranian missile attacks on U.S. and coalition targets in Iraq launched from inside Iran. Retribution for the U.S. killing of a top Iranian general and a very dangerous escalation of tensions in an already volatile region. So here's what we know. There have been at least 2 targeted locations in Iraq. Iran's foreign minister tonight tweeting Iran, quote, took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense, and that Iran doesn't seek escalation or war, but that they will defend themselves. So there's no word yet on casualties, although the U.S. officials tonight saying that there are very few, if any. Helping us make some sense of this, Janice Stein from the Munk School of Global Affairs, Besma Momani from the University of Waterloo Center for International Governance and Innovation, the Middle East expert at Wayne State University, Saeed Khan. So Besma, I promised I would ask you about this. Will the fight against ISIS continue?
Yes, but I think, the fight against ISIS needs to be expanded more so than being described today. It's not so much that ISIS is active on the ground in Iraq. If we really want to fight ISIS, we need to, one, build the federal army of Iraq, make it able to stand on its own 2 feet so that it can take care of its own, create a federal army that has that national spirit, that's not being swayed by pro-Iranian militia known as the PMF or the PMU. That I think would be, very much welcomed by many Iraqis, and also, to address the remaining conditions inside the country of refugees, lack of reconstruction and building in Mosul and other areas where ISIS once flourished. There's a lot of local grievances inside northern Iraq, and if we want to prevent ISIS 2.0, it would be wise to address that. But our goal there really is to make an Iraqi federal army able and capable to stand on its own 2 feet and be a professional military that it should be. So we've got a lot of work to do still there, and I'm afraid this has now really jeopardized that broader mission.
Okay, I have one question for each of you, just to close this out. Besma, what are your sources telling you about what we should be watching for next?
I mean, look, the one thing I was looking for was the fact of the matter of are there U.S. casualties on that base? That is a sigh of relief. Will Trump now want to sort of ratchet it up again? I don't think so. I do believe that Trump's instinct is not to go to war. I know that it's really hard for people to see and understand, but you just need to look at his base. His base has not been happy with him, believe it or not, in some respects, for, just even the ratcheting up the rhetoric and killing Soleimani. They have no interest in a war in the Middle East. But that said, Trump is very much swayed by optics, does not want to be the man that lets Benghazi happen again on his watch. That's reference to Libya's embassy being attacked and the ambassador killed there. And what happened with the Iranian-backed forces who basically stormed the Baghdad embassy was just too much for him.
Saeed, what are you watching for next?
Well, I'm looking at 2 things. I agree with Basma. I think that for Trump, the domestic political calculation is still there, and in fact probably offsets his risk aversion when it comes to being at war. But what I'm really looking for is statements coming from Moscow and Beijing. After all, Iran was conducting joint naval exercises with both Russia and China a few days ago, and they are a very important player within the Persian Gulf now, especially China with the Belt and Road Initiative, and given, of course, Vladimir Putin's relationship with Trump, it seems as though they will be able to temper the situation in Iraq and between Iran and the United States.
All right, so Janice, last word to you. Very quickly, if I'm sitting at home right now and I'm pretty anxious hearing this news, how anxious do I need to be?
You do not. You do not need to be anxious. As I've said, we are nowhere near an all-out war. It was a real break tonight, Adrian, that Trump did not speak. That was obvious to me a big step back. I hope he doesn't speak tomorrow. If he could get through 24 hours where he doesn't speak, that would make it a really excellent day, frankly. The bigger picture here, and here's a great irony, Soleimani was actually carrying messages from Iran to Saudi Arabia. It was going through the Prime Minister of Iraq. If we see signs that back channel is going again, that will be a really strong indicator that we are through this phase. So I'm keeping my eye on that. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
All right, thanks. Thank you all for coming in tonight, for sharing your insight. Janice Stein, Besma Momani, Saeed Khan, great to have you. And if you have any questions about the tensions in Iran, what it could mean for Canada, please go ahead, send us a note at thenational@cbc.ca. We will put them to our panel of experts to answer, debate, and discuss a little later this week.
For a fresh perspective on the top political stories of the day as they happen. The trusted voice in political journalism.
President Trump, though, has tied the two.
Vashi Capellos on Power and Politics. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on CBC News Network.
At Senecott, we raise our porcelain bowl to the number 2s of the world. And there's a number 2 in all of us just waiting to come out. Senecott laxatives, made with natural senna for gentle overnight relief of occasional constipation. Senecott, for the number 2 in you.
I'm leaving you. The signs were there. We just didn't want to see them. I wish it didn't have to be this way.
It doesn't. Rogaine, scientifically proven to keep your hair from breaking up with you.
Yeah! 100 times, yeah!
Okay.
Break all your legs.
I feel invigorated.
That's disgusting. BBO is bringing draft dodgers across the border. Earn their trust.
There's a fire. Maybe he's still alive.
You just hit ice.
It's a big problem.
You got him. We're going to court.
We want the jury to think that this could happen to them.
What is that?
I've never seen one of these.
Isn't that a great sound?
The law is imperfect, but I know how to navigate it.
You just help them make a big noise.
Oh, these are such good news.
Hot.
Elikkä nyt kun te menette tonne, niin yritätte vaan parhaanne. Ainoa, sun pitää vaan näyttää tytölle, että sä oot ansainnut paikkas tässä porukassa. Pitää asettaa meidän tavoite siihen, että me ei olla 5 parhaan joukossa, me vaan ollaan ykkösiä. Pitää oikeasti päästä yli siitä ja tsempata.
Cheer Up, Wednesday, January 29th at 7 Eastern on Documentary Channel. A time-traveling Canadian family. Destination, the 1940s.
Oh
Without having a TV, we're gonna have to find things to do to pass the time.
What is it?
It's heart.
What?
Back in time for winter. Thursday at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem.
The vibe was he was the best.
He's such a good storyteller and such a beautiful lyricist.
I'm grateful to be able to create songs. Gordon was, he was Canadiana.
Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind. Now streaming on CBC Gem.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, understanding the politics of the wildfire crisis in Australia. Will it be a catalyst for change? Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, the day before, a Facebook official answers questions on Capitol Hill about digital deception. The company says it is banning deepfake videos. But, as Thomas Daigle tells us, there are serious concerns about how the world's biggest social media platform will police itself.
But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business.
Sure, that's Charlie Chaplin's voice, not really Justin Trudeau's. And that's Ontario Premier Doug Ford's face on Donald Trump's body.
I hire people, they do a website. It costs me $3.
It's easy to tell that's a fake, but manipulated video that looks this real is called a deep fake.
You see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address.
I called for a kinder, gentle...
Recording techniques and artificial intelligence are making deep fakes simpler to produce, blurring the line with what's real.
We just want to predict your future behaviors.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg didn't actually say that, but he did promise last year to fight deepfakes.
It is likely sensible to have a different policy and to treat this differently than how we just treat normal false information on the internet.
Now, in its new policy, Facebook is pledging to remove clips that would likely mislead someone into thinking a subject of the video said words that they did not actually say. But it won't take down deepfakes meant as satire.
That leaves a big open door for people who have created a deepfake to say, well, it was a parody, actually. I always want to see how it's actually going to be enforced.
Some other doctored clips won't be deleted either.
And then he had a press conference in the
like this widely shared video of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, edited to make it look like she was slurring her words.
There is very damaging speech that is possible to be distributed in a very sophisticated way on these platforms. And we need to have some sort of editorial oversight.
All the more critical approaching U.S. elections, 4 years after a campaign tainted by fake news and foreign meddling.
Spectre showed me how to manipulate you into sharing
the trickery's only getting easier.
And all those you love for free.
Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
We'll have more on tonight's breaking news story from the Middle East. Iran has followed through on its threats against the United States, sending ballistic missiles into Iraq, targeting American forces. Donald Trump has now tweeted saying that the assessment of damage and casualties is taking place right now. He says he will be making a statement tomorrow morning. We have the latest developments coming up on The National. Stay with us.
This is The National.
And that means more than words to us. It's a pledge.
It's our commitment to bring you a nightly newscast that you can count on.
This is The National, Canada's nightly newscast.
You don't let cold symptoms ruin your day. You take DayQuil Complete Liquid Caps and crush them. DayQuil Complete, the daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, sore throat, power through your day medicine.
$120 for the night, please.
$95 for the night, please. Wait, what?
If you use Trivago, Trivago will compare hotel prices from hundreds of websites worldwide, so you can often find a better deal for your hotel room. Maybe you should try Trivago next time.
Hotel Trivago.
Mama Burgers are just $2.50 right now.
Yes.
2 freshly made A&W Mama Burgers for you guys. Describe that beef to me.
Juicy. It's really, really good.
$2.50 Mama Burgers right now. Yeah, let's hear it. $2.50 Mama Burgers right now. I don't know why I love you, but I do.
Everything your trip needs for everyone you love. Expedia.
Unexpected situation? Magic Root Cover-Up by L'Oreal. 3 seconds to flawless roots. 3, 2, 1, roots gone. Magic Root Cover-Up by L'Oreal Paris.
Oh,
Children.
You must understand, young woman, that you work for us and not the other way around.
But you would like to tell me how I must go about teaching the children to read.
I've told you what it is we want you to do, and that's enough.
Please, Mr. Clarence, would you take a look at this?
You'll not bother me with that.
But you see, sir, your son read this today. It is quite a difficult passage. It is from the Bible. This is what I use to teach him to read.
Ah, Mr. Clarence, why don't you just read it then?
Both of you know I cannot read a word.
Throughout most of our history, millions of Canadians have owed their education to young women who taught in one-room schoolhouses, much like this one.
I'm Jenny Cooper, the coroner. I'm gonna be ruling his death a homicide.
Let's follow the money. What are you gonna do?
We're gonna follow the rat. What happened to you?
These are the 3 Marines you killed last night.
As of today, you belong to me.
Ruby Howard is bringing draft dodgers across the border.
Something happening in here.
Earn their trust. Maybe you could help us.
Sure.
What it
We want the good people of Canada to be afraid of draft dodgers.
We can give you your life back again.
How do you think America protects itself?
I missed you, Jojo. What's going on? I don't know. My kids?
What happened? Where are you taking them?
Step back.
This is Millwood Family Services. They've made a mistake. Those children can't be all alone.
I love starting my mornings with Canadians from all across the country, facing whatever the day brings together. This is CBC News Network.
Let's recap tonight's breaking news. Just hours ago, Iran launched ballistic missiles against 2 military bases in Iraq, used by U.S. and coalition forces. Iran is retaliating against the United States for that drone attack last Friday that killed Qasem Soleimani, a top general and revered military figure in Iran. So let's take a look at those targets. The Al-Assad base is located in a rural area west of Baghdad, and in northern Iraq, the city of Erbil is home to a base used by coalition forces, including Canadians. Now, a military source told CBC News there is not yet any confirmation of Canadian casualties, and officials in the U.S. say there are very few, if any, U.S. casualties. Donald Trump tweeting tonight, quote, "So far, so good." Nevertheless, the world is watching with great trepidation as the United States and Iran exchange high-powered military assaults. But check out this other battlefield where this conflict is being waged. This is what Donald Trump tweeted out after last week's deadly attack on Qasem Soleimani. Without a single word, the U.S. president signaled U.S. strength and determination. Well, tonight, this was the response from Saeed Jalili, an Iranian politician and former nuclear negotiator. Again, no words, just the flag. So you can watch continuing coverage of the Iranian missile strikes on CBC News Network. This is The National for Tuesday, January 7th.
Good night.